Ever curious about hosting a TEDx event? Say no more, fam. I got you. What up, guys? It's your boy, Kevin Yee, the Farm D, aka Kevin the Refugee. Welcome to my Refugee Hustle podcast, where I feature people that are doing cool ass things and showing you how to live a kick-ass life. Today I have Tina. She hosted TEDx Windsor. I really like her story a lot. We talk about what it's like to set up a TEDx event. We go into everything from planning to finding guests and just how to hold a kick-ass event. This was her first event ever. She's never planned anything. She's also an introvert too, and she wanted to rewrite her story as an introvert. Some things I really like about this story is how Tina just hit the ground running. She didn't really plan everything from the beginning, but she just figured it out along the way. This story is very inspiring if you want to do something difficult and why it's important to do difficult things in life. Anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoy. Peace, mother people. What up, guys? It's your boy, Kevin Yee, the Farm D, aka Kevin the Refugee. Today I have a special guest. As you know, on this podcast, I like to interview people that do really interesting things. Recently, I met Tina.
Hi, everybody.
Who actually, she organized the TEDx Windsor. Not Ted Windsor, TEDx Windsor.
TedX Windsor, yep. It actually just happened last Saturday, so.
Yeah, I know. It was pretty cool because we were just chatting. For y'all that don't know, we actually, I don't think we never met in person, but we were both at like this event, event called Forefront. It's hosted by Ramit Sethi. Since I had the flu that day, I was like, I can't meet people, so I started like sliding in people's DMs just to get to know them and whatnot. So that's how I know Tina. Yeah.
Yes, you messaged me. Yeah.
So
in my DMs.
So tell me, like, what made you want to kind of organize this event? Tell me about like how you got started. Tell me everything, man.
Oh, geez. Okay, so I just love TED Talks to start with, and I think that like one of the initial things that put momentum into me kind of changing my life has been TED Talks, because I used to be like really shy, timid girl, didn't do anything. I kind of labeled myself as an introvert, right? And I was like, oh, introverts don't do that. They just stay at home and just watch TV on the couch. That's what an introvert is. So the very first TED Talk that I saw was by A.V. Cuddy. Have you seen that one? It's called, I think, The Power of Your Body Language or something like that.
You know what? I think I did catch it once a long time ago.
It's one of the popular ones, and she talks about how you can influence your emotions by changing your body language, because a lot of people think that their emotions, like emotions first and then body language, right? But she was saying that you can flip that. You can pretend to have this emotion and just stand a certain way. So it's called power posing now. I think that's pretty common. People hear that.
Yeah.
So she's like, you can start power posing, and then from that, you will get those emotions. And so that was like the first kind of trigger in my mind that made me realize that I can kind of change who I want to be, and I don't have to be set in stone.
Yeah.
And like I'm flexible, I'm moldable, and I can be something else instead of just an introvert, right?
Yeah.
So that was like the first step in kind of my transformation as a human being, just growing, growth mindset on all of that. And then I live in Windsor, Ontario, and it's right in between Detroit and Toronto. So it's kind of in the shadows between these two huge giants. And I always thought that there wasn't that much to do in Windsor.
Isn't there like snowboarding and stuff there? Don't people go there snowboard?
No.
No,
there's no good hills around here.
Damn, never mind that.
Even in Michigan, there's a few, but they're all really, really small.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, I was like, there's not much to do in Windsor. I had this thought maybe 2 years ago, and I wanted to bring something cool, and I was like, well, TED is cool, and I knew somebody that has already done a TEDx event in England. Like I'd never met him either. His name is Ryan Hildebrandt.
Oh, okay.
And he's an RBT member, or was an RBT member. But
for y'all that don't know, RBT is Ramit's Brain Trust. It was his like private group. I was part of it for a long time, and like every single month there would be these interviews and stuff with these top performers, and it was really cool. And we had a forum and people would just talk, so that's what she's referring to.
yeah, just connecting to like-minded peoples.
Yeah.
Like being in that group connected me to Ryan, and he was doing his own TEDx event in London. Not London, but England.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that, and I was like, okay, I kind of know Ryan. He's like a really smart guy, but he's a regular guy. And if Ryan can do something like that, then I can do something like that, right? Like having people in your vision doing cool things kind of enables you to do the same.
Yeah.
Right? So I saw him do that, and I applied to have my own TEDx Windsor event a few years ago, and I actually got rejected the first time I applied.
Damn. How did it feel getting rejected?
Not that great, but it wasn't like, okay, it wasn't a hard rejection. They just kind of asked me to modify some things, but I just got really busy at work and things were happening, and I just never did it. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of fell to the side. So that was a few years ago. And then last summer, like the idea just came back, and instead of just me applying on my own, I actually reached out to Ryan, and I was like, Ryan, can I put your name on my application? And of course he said yes. He's a great guy. And that's probably what like catalyzed them to allow me to have my own event. So August last year, I remember I got my acceptance because I was going through like a terrible breakthrough at that, sorry, not breakthrough, a terrible breakup at that time as well. And then I got that acceptance, and I was like, okay, this can be like the next thing that I focus on, kind of just bring myself back together through this project. And then just the next 6-7 months has just been planning it. And honestly, it went better than anything I could have dreamed of. I set the theme for the event to be connections because I wanted to connect Windsor. I wanted to bring a whole bunch of people together, kind of make long-lasting friendships and relationships and business connections through this event. And I think I accomplished that. I've gotten some really cool feedback already from the event.
What was some of the feedback?
So 2 of our speakers are teachers, and they live in London, Ontario. And one guy that came to visit TEDx Windsor was also a teacher, but he was from Ohio. And he drove 2-3 hours to Windsor to check out our event because he wanted to have a TEDx event for him too.
Yeah.
So he'd never been to a TEDx before, and Windsor was the closest one. So he came to TEDx Windsor. And like these 2 teachers, their names are Laura Briscoe and Jenny Van Kesteren. Mm-hmm. They're doing amazing stuff. They're teaching math using art.
That's really cool.
And teaching art using math. So like geometry, things like that, trigonometry, like they're doing, I think, grade 9 and 10 math right now.
Yeah.
But so this guy from Ohio saw that, and he made the connection with them.
Yeah.
And so they're talking, and he's going to try to kind of learn what they're doing.
Yeah.
So Laura Briscoe from London, Ontario is going to go visit him in Ohio, and he's going to go visit her school in London, and they're going to swap ideas.
Dude, that's so awesome. Like, dude, you connected these you basically helped connect these 2 random people, you know, and now they're going to be doing great work together, you know?
Yeah. Like that. When he told me that story, that just made my night. Like, that is why I wanted to hold the event, pretty much.
And you're so right. Like, there's so many things I love about this story, because one thing that really sticks out to me is like you really took initiative, and you really took initiative not only to like introduce new people in your life, because a lot of people just say, oh, I don't have any friends, I don't know anyone, but you actually created a solution and actually created an event where you could meet all these people and give value back to them. Mm-hmm. And another thing I really love about this story too is like sometimes we tell ourselves like certain things like, oh, I'm an introvert, or I'm this, I'm that, and you totally rewrote that story, dude. I love that, man.
Yeah, thank you. It took me a really long time to unravel that introvert story, and like for a long time you don't even realize that you're doing it to yourself. So you need some sort of wake-up call that's kind of outside of yourself to kind of take a step back and be like, wait a second, why am I doing this to myself? And Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Your wake-up was your breakup, right?
So that was one part, and then that was before Forefront, the one that you went to as well. Mm-hmm. And actually, at Forefront was another one of my wake-up calls, because while I was at Forefront, I was purposely putting myself out there as like, I want to meet people. I'm going to talk to everybody as much as I can. And like we went out salsa dancing one night.
Dude, that's awesome. Random. I freaking missed out, man. Damn it.
But so it's just been like small incremental steps over time.
Yeah.
Just realizing that things that you're doing aren't working out for you. And you even need like awesome friends just to kind of nudge you in the shoulder and be like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, were there times where you're just like, man, this is like so overwhelming, I can't do this? Like, how did you deal with those moments, or how did you break out of that?
You mean in the process of planning the event?
Yep, exactly, yep.
At the beginning, I was doing it all by myself, and so my work is seasonal, so I was in a slow season at work, and I was like, I have lots of free time. I can totally handle this entire event by myself.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
But so luckily I had a few friends who were like, Tina, no, like get a team. I know you don't think you need one, but just listen to me, get a team.
Yeah. So
I was like, fine, whatever, I'll listen to you. And I brought on one person.
Yeah.
And then, but like just talking, so everywhere I went, the initial momentum that started for TedX Windsor was because I was going out and I was going to networking events and I was talking about it everywhere that I could. And doing that, I had so many people approach me and ask me if they needed volunteers. Eventually, I was just like, I kept denying everybody, but I got so many requests. I was like, okay, fine, I'll take more volunteers.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I think I just really lucked out because the volunteers that I happened to choose were all amazing. And then whenever I got overwhelmed, they would always be there. And yeah, by some stroke of magic, we all have different strengths as well. Like one person is very task oriented, one person is very detail oriented, and I'm kind of like the big picture. I can kind of see the vision, but I don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
And so we all just balance each other.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. And then the fourth member, he was actually the first person that I connected to. He was like the connector in Windsor that kind of knew everybody.
Yeah.
So when I brought him on as a committee, he introduced me to a whole bunch of people as well. I think I was just incredibly lucky. I have no idea how this all happened.
It's not luck. We both know it's not luck. I'll quote my boy Ramit for a second. Like, he always talks about taking more swings in life, and some of the things that you did was really put yourself out there. Like, if you're like, fuck it, like if you were like, I'm just gonna do it by myself, the opportunity would have never opened up. But slowly you went to more and more networking events. You're like, okay, maybe I'll take some volunteers. And these people just came into your life. And I feel like also too, like people who watch TED Talks are in a certain mindset, you know, they think a certain way. It's just like you and me, like we never really met, but we pretty much clicked the first time we talked, you know. I'm not really surprised that you had such amazing people around you because of the people you surrounded yourself with. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
And like we all have that one thing in common, and that's all you need to start building that relationship.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, so tell me about your application process. How did that go? Like, so what do you have to submit and stuff?
It's actually quite simple. So I encourage anyone that wants to do a TEDx to just do it and apply. There's just a whole bunch of questions like, why do you want to do this? Tell us about your city. Why do you think it will be good for your city? And then they ask you some questions like, where do you want to hold it? What TED Talks do you want to show? Because 25% of your live programming needs to be official TED Talks. So it's super easy. It took me maybe 2-3 hours to fill out completely, and you just kind of read over your answers again. I think what they're looking for is just initiative, really.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, like, how did you go about finding your guests and stuff for your TED Talks?
I had a few people that I knew personally and I approached, and a few people that were recommended to me, but the bulk of the speakers applied. So like I said earlier, when I was trying to go to a whole bunch of networking events and try to promote my event, I would just tell everybody, like, if you want to be a speaker, we're looking for speakers. And I told people specifically that I wasn't looking for professional speakers at all. I just wanted people with good ideas and good stories and unique ideas.
Yeah.
So like anybody that told me they wanted to apply, I was like, yes, please apply. I want to see it. Like, you never know, you might get it. Because
Yeah.
like a lot of people just have that fear and they automatically rule themselves out. So I didn't want to do that for anyone. I just wanted to tell everybody, like, if you even have the smallest inkling of an idea and you want to talk about it, like, let me know. I want to talk about it with you.
Yeah. Take more swings, man.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Because like we had so many people that were speakers and they never thought they would be a speaker and they never thought they would be chosen, but like something just propelled them to do it, and then they ended up being on stage.
That's awesome. So while you're planning the event, was there anything like really unexpected that popped up?
I think the biggest thing for us is that we started planning in December, and then Christmas and the holidays happened. So basically nothing got done in December. so like actually foot down, gas pedal going, we planned the entire event in less than 3 months, I would say.
And how many hours a day or like per week were you spending roughly?
Oh, I was doing a lot, especially because it was my slow season. And I'm also bad at delegating. So if like things get put on my pile, I'll just do them.
Yeah.
But, oh man, at least like 20, 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
And then still working
Dude,
on top of that.
so it sounds like almost like a full-time job on top of that too.
It was, yeah. Yeah, and when we first started out, I was doing all of the graphic design and everything, and you know, like, that just takes time, especially if you're nitpicky and everything has to be perfect. Eventually, I was just like, okay, good enough, go.
Prior to this whole thing, did you have any experience in graphic design or anything like that?
Embarrassingly, I used to have Asian Avenue.
Yeah, dude, my Asian Avenue is still up, man. And Zanga, baby. Yeah.
I've never checked. I got an email from LiveJournal like last month. So I did that, and it was just kind of a hobby, and I've never like designed for money or anything like that, but
Yeah.
things like that.
But you know how to slap a few layers and stuff and blend them all together.
Yeah, just like vector, just trace things here
Yeah.
and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it's like anything that I've done out of hobby, I kind of put towards TedX Windsor. Like I designed our website, and then the graphic labels and the posters and everything. Like I did most of it at the beginning.
Yeah.
And what did I want to say? But like in terms of planning an event, I've never planned an event before. So
it's your first time.
Yeah.
Oh my
God.
God.
It was like, and it's TEDx, so I was like, I need to impress people somehow.
Yeah.
After I've never done this before. So that was terrifying, because when you're doing something like that, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to just like do it and learn as you go.
Yeah, what's also really cool about that is like, dude, I hear amazing stories like when people's backs are against the wall, you know, when you can't bail out. And another thing I love about your story too is that a lot of time we have this idea that we have to perfect everything like before we start something. But for you, you're just like, fuck it, learn as you go. And I love that part, you know?
It's terrifying though. You like, oh my God, the night before the event, I went to bed at I think 1 a.m. and I got up at 3:30 just because I was so nervous. And so I didn't eat anything all morning, and then lunch came and I had some wraps.
Yeah.
But I was like, the event was already happening.
Yeah.
People were already loving it, but I was still a wreck. And I ate lunch and it just did not digest because I was in fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was just in my stomach for the entire day.
Yeah. So let me ask you, take me through like the day of the event. What happened, what sort of things that you had to do and all that, how your event went. I'm curious about that.
So the actual day of the event, I don't know why I was so nervous. There was nothing really left to do except like put the show on, because it's like this big heavy train. Like once it gets going, it's just going. You can't stop it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So actually the week up to the event, I wasn't nervous because I was like, well, it's just happening and this is it. It's either it's going to be great or it's not. I can't change it anymore. But the night of, I was a wreck and I couldn't sleep. So how we designed the day was that it was broken up into 4 chunks. So we had chunks of 3 speakers, then lunch, and then 3 speakers, then break, 3 speakers, break, 3 speakers, and then after party.
Yeah.
So it was a really long day. It started at 11 a.m. and the talks finished at 6, but that's when our after party started, and the after party went till about 9 p.m. So 11 to 9, people dedicated their entire day on a Saturday, which I thought was super amazing.
Yeah, and it must have been really high value for people because people stayed after, right?
Yeah.
So you're
not everybody stayed, of course. We had maybe like 70% of people stay, which is still pretty amazing.
Yeah.
If you think about it. And in terms of design for the day of the event, so my theme for the event was connections, and that's what I wanted to do with Windsor. I wanted to connect people, so I tried to have extra long breaks, and we designed it to have 2 rooms. So there was a theater room and then the break room right next to it. So when people were doing their talks, they would all sit in the theater room, and when it was break time, everybody would usher into the break room, and there was no seats in there at all. So people had to stand and they had to kind of mingle. And then we also did a sort of networking game, so you would meet people that you wouldn't have normally met.
Yeah.
And that was basically the feel of the day. So you'd sit, you watch some talks, and then you go stand in the other room and talk about it with people that you don't know, and hopefully you get to know them and connect with them a little bit.
Where did you get that idea from?
So I've been to a few TEDx's already. I've been to TEDx Chatham Kent and TEDx Toronto. And that's what they did in TEDx Toronto. They had really long breaks, and they didn't have that much seating. And I liked that idea. So I brought that back to Windsor. Because I know if you set a big dining room table with like 10 seats on it, people are going to sit there and they're just going to stay there the entire time. And that wasn't kind of the feel that I was going for.
Yeah, I love it. You actually went to different events and then you took what was already working rather than reinvent the wheel. That's awesome.
Yeah. Research. I had a blast going to Toronto to go to TEDx Toronto, so it was awesome. Yeah,
tell me about like the difference between like your event versus other TEDx events that you've been to.
So TEDx Toronto is actually, I think, the biggest TEDx event that happens outside of TED, and it was about 1,200 to 1,300 people. So it was really cool to see something so big, and obviously I think it was their 9th year doing it, so they've got it well like oiled, and it's a perfect day. And going to that event, they had this amazing MC. I don't know his name, but for me, he kind of made the whole day.
Yeah.
And for TEDx Windsor, initially I was gonna be MC, but like I'm not a personality by any means. I very much like being behind the scenes and just kind of setting everything up. So I was like, okay, if the TEDx Toronto MC made the day for me, it would probably be really, really valuable for me to get like a proper professional MC for our event.
Yeah.
And like on the contrast to that, TEDx Chatham Kent, they had one of the organizers be the MC, but he didn't really like talk about the talks as they were happening. He just kind of came on stage and was like, up next we have this person, and that's all that he did.
Yeah.
And like TEDx Chatham Kent was also a really great show, but I really liked the interaction between the MC and the audience. So like that was one thing that I brought back with me. But like something that I learned from TEDx Chatham Kent, they had art displays in their break room.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was beautiful. So I did that. I borrowed that idea from them, and I got someone to bring art into our break room too. And I got a lot of feedback that people love that idea as well. So
dude, that's awesome.
You learn from like everywhere you go. All of your experiences, right? They kind of mold who you are and what you make out of it.
At your event, were there any notable speakers that really popped out to you?
All of them. So we had some big names. A lot of the local people are smaller and they're unfamiliar to people outside of Windsor. Oh. But we had Manish Sethi, Ramit's brother, actually. Yeah, so the founder of Pavlok, he's a friend of mine, and I asked him to come. I invited him to do a talk. We had Matt Wilson, who is the founder of the Backyard Axe Throwing League in Toronto.
Backyard axe throwing league?
Yeah, have you done it?
No, but it sounds fun.
It is so fun. So you have a target and you just like throw axes at it, right? And this guy started it in his backyard, I think in 2006. And now he's got 14 locations across North America.
Dude,
and just still growing. Yeah. And then our final speaker of the day was a guy named Tyrone Sim. And he's actually one of my family friends. I've known him for a really long time. And I've just known him as a person. He's just a really nice, really great guy. But it wasn't until I asked him to do this talk that I kind of figured out how big of a deal he is. Yeah. He's like been around the world. He's done, he was in Afghanistan during the war. He's worked with Anderson Cooper. He was in Haiti right after the earthquake, documenting it.
Oh, wow.
And he's a 6-time award winner. I don't remember what the award is called, but it's a really, really big deal if you're into cinematography. And I had no idea. I just knew that he was this really nice guy. I knew that he was amazing, and I knew that he's been around the world. So I knew that he would have something to share. And so I invited him to be one of our speakers, and he's like, okay, what do you want me to talk about? And the way that TEDx is set up, you can kind of talk about whatever you want. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of pressed him for ideas. I'm like, this audience is the kind of audience that you can say whatever you want to. Do you have some sort of message that you've been dying to tell people, but you just couldn't because you didn't have the right audience for it? Because he's done a lot of speaking, but usually in a business setting. So like how to do this, or how to take better videos, or like in a kind of a teaching kind of thing, right? So I'm like, this is your chance to really say something that you've been dying to get off of your chest. And I just kind of left him with that. And then I really didn't have any idea what he was going to talk about until the night before the event. Yeah. And just something inside me told me that I had to put him last. And that's what I did. I'm like, I'm just going to trust my gut. I'm just sure that he's going to be great. I trust it. Yeah. So I put him last, and honestly, it could not have worked out better. He got a standing ovation, and he made like at least half the audience cry with his talk.
Damn.
So
that's crazy.
It was really touching, and it's not publicly available yet, but when it is, I'll send it to you.
Awesome.
You give it a watch.
Okay, so you finished the event. What are some major things that you got from like planning all this, challenging yourself to set up TEDx Windsor? Like, tell me about what you got from doing all this.
Kind of trust in myself a little bit more than before. Kind of like, okay, you said you were going to do something and then you did it. So I think that's a big one. Usually I'm kind of that person that's like the jack of all trades, kind of like you start one hobby and then you just get like a little bit okay of it, and then you get bored and you're like, all right, whatever, I don't care anymore.
I feel you. I'm like the same way. Yeah. It must feel great to finally like master something, you know what I mean, and do something really accomplished in one area. Dude, I find like, honestly, I'm the type of person that hates planning. So like seeing you do something as your first event so big and have it go so well, dude, I give you hella props, man.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Of course, it would never have happened without my team. I have an amazing team as well.
Say people watching this video, they want to do their own TEDx talk somewhere. Do you have any tips for them or like last words for them?
Definitely get a team. Don't be stupid. Get a team. They'll help you. They can get your back whenever you need it. Like, get a good team, especially. I would say just do it. Like, it doesn't hurt. The first step is just an application, and if you get rejected, you just fix it and you do it again. When you put on the event, you're limited to 100 people, and it sounds like 100 people is a lot, but it's really, really not. So, like, worst comes to worst, all you did was upset 100 people, and it's not that big of a deal.
Are you gonna do it like again?
Yeah. I would like to do it as an annual event in Windsor. Mm-hmm. And actually, next week, I'm going to New York to go to TED Fest. And TED Fest is organized specifically for TEDx volunteers. So anyone that has organized a TEDx event is invited to TED Fest. and there's going to be 500 of us in there, so I'm looking forward to learning more about how to do TEDx events and maybe pick up some more ideas that I can bring back to TEDx Windsor. And then hopefully next year will be equally as amazing. I don't know if that's possible, but
Of course it is. You know, I think with each time you do it, you're going to get a little better. So of course, you know, if it was already a kick-ass event, it's going to be even more kick-ass event next time you do it, right?
I'm scared I set the bar too high. It was honestly the most amazing day. I couldn't have dreamed of anything better.
It's kind of like I imagine like when a UFC fighter actually wins their belt and they're like, I don't want to go through the I don't want to like lose my belt or anything like that. You just want to leave on a win, right? So yeah, I get it.
I'm done. No more.
Quick question, did you want to plug anything too?
I don't have anything to plug, just our website is tedxwindsor.com.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much popping through. I appreciate it. I learned so much actually, like listening to you, man. And
thank you. It's my pleasure.
I'm like really excited for your journey, honestly. Like, cause like you're doing you're doing cool things. You're going to TED Fest. You're creating this whole new path for yourself, and I think that's very not only motivational but very inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah. I thought of something I wanted to say.
Oh, what's up?
That breakup in August. Probably the best thing that has happened to me so far in this lifetime. So life is great. Life is really, really good right now. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Sometimes when we feel like when we're in those moments where it feels like the end of the world, those are the best opportunities waiting, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Anyways, guys, anyways, guys, make sure you subscribe, like this video. If you know anyone that wants to do a TEDx talk, make sure to share it as well. And I'll plug all Tina's info down below if she wants. And otherwise, I will see you guys next time. Peace, mother people.